So I'm sure you guys have probably seen this recent video by Redacted, or actually, I take that back. It was Clayton Morris from Redacted on a completely separate YouTube channel, Morris Invests. And this video is actually explaining how the Biden administration, or Joe Biden himself, has actually put us into this bind when it comes to energy and this major catastrophe that ultimately he has caused and essentially has brought China and Russia closer together. Clayton Morris mentions having a conversation with Peter Schiff and ultimately how Biden used our strategic oil reserves to drain them, and we are down to less than 20 days of fuel. We have no plan whatsoever. OPEC is cutting production, and ultimately America is screwed, really, which is crazy to think. But it's also interesting that we live in a country where we're able to talk so badly about our country, but also considering we are in this mess together. He mentions how the interest on our national debt is over, just the interest alone and interest payments is over $1 trillion. We crossed over 32 trillion or $33 trillion in national debt. And ultimately, we are in this circling drain scenario, spiraling down the drain, being broke basically as a country, which is insane to believe, but it also makes perfect sense what I'm about to tell you. But with that being said, this also ties into what I talked about earlier today, which was Russell Brand and his financial situation and ultimately how he was demonetized by YouTube. But I also, we're reading the comments that you guys have left on the video, realize that he still is monetized. And here's that one that I was telling you guys about that would stand by and stand behind Russell Brand throughout this all, and ultimately hedging their bet that maybe he will actually emerge from this triumphant. They will be the knight in shining armor. They really have nothing to lose, and ultimately Rumble could potentially see a huge win from this, depending on how it plays out or how long it takes. But they actually declined to demonetize Russell Brand based on a request from some organization or some company in the UK. But if I'm linking that and what's happening with Russell Brand and listening to what Clayton Morris is telling me, and watching Redacted and paying attention to Morris Invests, and ultimately everything that's going on, Peter Schiff, really smart people, seemingly informed, educated, economists, financial advisors, investors, rich people. I know Clayton Morris is probably worth a substantial amount of money, considering the different channels, or just considering his resume and where he used to work, his multiple income streams to the channels that he has, and his sponsors and affiliates that he is associated with. And, I'm pretty sure Gold Standard pays pretty well. But the simple fact of the matter is that if we are headed down this path, barreling towards this economic and financial destruction, then I would much rather not be so heavily tied to dollars. And this isn't a jab at the banks or an alarm or alert to the banks or anything like that, but I would much rather be tied to a global reserve than a U.S. reserve, if that makes sense. Therefore, obviously, we know changes in the monetary system, changes with blockchains, changes with different currencies, introductions of new currencies, changes with credit card companies actually now aligning with these blockchains and building out their own infrastructure with FedNow and ISO 20022, and the future of money basically changing. But again, I've talked about this before in regard to assets versus dollars. Obviously, you're gonna need enough dollars to pay your bills and have money for an emergency. But besides that, if what Clayton Morris from Redacted is saying is true on one of his most recent videos on Morris Invests, where I think it's something about Biden really effed up this time, and there's Putin and some radioactive oil drums on fire. It looks like a really crazy scenario. very, very dramatic, very catastrophic, very fear-inducing. I was very scared. I almost didn't want to click on it, but I had to because, yeah, that's what had the most views recently. He has some other videos on his channel about investing in real estate, which is kind of like, where does this tie in? How does this work? You're talking about how America is done, and then you're telling us to invest in real estate. But I think the simple fact of the matter is that, yeah, the dollar, maybe, if it's pegged to oil, especially. But again, gold, silver, assets, real estate, potentially. Now, granted, real estate has added costs, especially here in Florida, with what's happening with homeowners insurance and policy premium rate adjustments and Citizens, the insurer of last resort, and now slide insurance coming in, and potential hurricanes and predictions from the traveling TikTok time traveler about possible hurricanes wiping out certain. Florida wasn't on the list. He said Texas was going to get a massive hurricane or tornado, like a F6 tornado or something. 12-mile wide F6 tornado. I made a video about that September 23rd. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. But Clayton Moore's, with Redacted, Moore's Invest, kind of has me on edge here, but it just has me on edge to make changes and moves in a direction of protecting and planning and preparing and stocking up on, I think, what is going to be better to have if things were to go south. As bad as they say, as bad as the charts that he shows on his videos, as bad as all this news is, that we continuously, and it's not just him. I mean, we hear it from multiple different sources, but he seems to be speaking the loudest, in my opinion. I think, especially in my YouTube studio analytics on my back end, he's like top 2 that you guys watch. I think it's Canadian Prepper and then Redacted. I don't even think Moore's Invest is on the list, so I'm not even sure if the views on Moore's Invest are because of what he's talking about, or if they're being funneled there from Redacted to get the views, to grow the channel, to build the audience, so that when he does make the investment videos where he pitches and sells his courses and his affiliate links, that he will get more views as a percentage of his subscribers, and also to draw attention to some of his advertisers and sponsors over there on that channel. But this is just my guess from the back end. And this is how it works, actually. You know, YouTube and monetizing the platform and leveraging it to your financial gain and benefit, sometimes at the expense of the viewer. So I'm not saying that Clayton Moore's and Redacted and Moore's Invest are doing that, but I'm just saying that sometimes some channels actually manipulate their audience into thinking and watching something based on what they want you to believe, but ultimately, really, it's like a double play, mainly to trick the advertisers and the sponsors more so than the viewers and the audience, if that makes sense. But if you can do both, then it's a win-win for the creator, because you'll double dip and you'll get paid way more money in a currency, in an economy that is ultimately doomed, which is what he says, basically. I think it's a little hard to keep up with. So it's like every day it's like another repeat, a reminder of just how bad and how terrible things are. The banks are closing, stores are closing, shelves are empty. We're running out of fuel. We're running out of oil. Jobs are terrible. The economy's crashing. Housing market's in trouble. We're going to war. Russell Brand is demonetized off the platform. Then, you know, we hear completely different stories from different, you know, other oppositions and different sides of how, you know, great things are doing and how the economy is booming, has never been better. We have dodged a recession. We're on a recovery mode here. Interest rates may be dropping soon. Housing affordability is going to become more in reach. Rent prices are dropping, and more insurance companies are coming into Florida, giving homeowners different options. Car prices are coming down. Yet credit card balances are increasing. Homelessness is getting worse. Food shortages and insecurities are getting worse. So honestly, I don't even know what to make of it anymore. So I guess now it just kind of resorts to me trying to do the best I can to prepare and plan and strategize and stock up and stockpile for me and my family, having these conversations with you, and then maybe us exchanging back and forth and like creating a dialogue so that we can try to figure out which way's up, you know? And you guys have been extremely helpful with that over on Patreon. So I really do appreciate it. Thanks.